Hey guys, Thepromise here. It's June 2nd, 2012, and it is a sweltering New York day. As most of you might know, there's a heat wave blast in the United States, and it's hit here pretty hard. So I got everything dark and closed up, try to keep myself cool. Um, and this is the first of what I hope will be a weekly occurrence for me, where I kind of give you guys some of the more prevalent news stories from throughout the gaming industry, both online and offline. Um, and I kind of, go a little bit in depth, break them down, maybe give my opinion on them. And then hopefully hear some feedback from you guys too, in terms of opinions, and or questions about the news stories. And if there are questions, then I certainly do hope to respond to them next Monday when I do the next cast, in which I'm tentatively titling the Monday News Rundown. So if that sounds good to you guys, again, feedback is gold, so let me know. I think I'm going to run with that for right now, the Monday News Rundown. And I do apologize for the camera quality. My main camera is actually broken right now, so I'm running with the default camera for my laptop, which, as you guys can see, is not the best. It's better than no camera, though, which is what I learned from doing the Mass Effect cast last week, where it's better to see me than looking at a static image while I talk. So we'll be running with this until I can get myself back up and running a higher quality camera. So pretty much this week's news is going to focus around how the internet is shaping the game industry as a whole, because almost all of my stories encompass that in some aspect or another. And the first thing I want to talk about with you guys is what I feel is not only the most important news of the day, but also quite possibly the most important news of the past week, and that's Sony's acquisition of Gaikai, which is an online cloud gaming service, which is kind of like OnLive, for about $380 million. Now, I think Gaikai is a fairly well-known and used site, so maybe that's a good deal for them. Maybe it's not really my area of expertise. And for those of you who don't know what a cloud streaming gaming service is, pretty much they have the game running on a computer at their location, and all they're doing is streaming the video of it to you. So you're still playing it, just not on your computer. So it's remotely gathering all of your keystrokes and mouse data, sending it to that computer where it's getting played, and then streaming the image back to your computer. It's a little bit of a trippy concept. I know to think you might be able to use someone else's computer to play your games, but that's what it's there for. And as far as the acquisition was concerned, as Andrew House, who's the president and CEO of SCE, said, that by combining Gaikai's resources, including its technological strength and engineering talent, with SCE's extensive game platform knowledge and experience, SCD hopes to provide users with unparalleled cloud entertainment experiences. Straight out of his mouth. Now, it's Sony, so it could be a whole range of things. It could be movies, it could be television, it could be music, or a little bit closer to what we're talking about here, games. So what does this mean for Sony? Well, it means a bunch of things. It means that they can use it for maybe not the PlayStation 3. They might, just maybe as a trial run. I don't see them going too in depth with the PlayStation 3 as it is at the end of its cycle, and it would probably take a lot of work to get it to run on the PlayStation 3. But they can get it running on the Vita, so that's a whole new aspect for the Vita. They already have the digital distribution of the games. Well, why not take it a step further and just stream the game right to your Vita through your Wi-Fi network? So therefore, you can charge a more nominal, it's not even a fucking word, a more nominal fee, where you're really just streaming the game for bits and pieces at a time, for whatever time that you want to stream it. You can probably set the pay grade to however long you're playing it, and then stream it right to your Vita. So maybe you can give it a little bit of a test to see if you like the game, or maybe you're out and about, you want to play let's say Little Big Planet Vita, and you forgot it at home. and you don't really want to go on to the store, purchase it, and re-download the game you already have. So maybe you can just go on their cloud service, pay $1 or $2, and maybe play it for a couple hours. So I mean, so you can test it out, play it when you don't have it. Whatever you as a gamer might want to do with it, the service is there for you to use. And more importantly, a lot of the speculation has been focusing more on the PlayStation 4. And I know that a lot of news sources, both print, well, not print. I mean, can't print it yet, but I mean the online version of the print news sources and the online-only news sources have both speculated that it could be used for the PlayStation 4 as the system itself, meaning there is no PlayStation 4. It streams right to your television, which is pretty futuristic if you ask me. No gaming system at all, just your television. And I would assume some type of proprietary controller to use with the system. See, like, that is a little bit more complicated, let's say, than just streaming a game to your PC. Because you already have what you need in your PC to play the game. You have your keyboard, you have your mouse. That's all you need. With, let's say, the PlayStation 4, you need a controller. So, and they have to go through the whole process of how does the controller interface with the television. I would assume the PlayStation 4, if it does take this very cloud-based route, it would have some type of set-top box, kind of like a Roku, to input the data from the controller. And opinions are kind of divided. A lot of people think that it's a good idea. A lot of people think it's a bad idea. I can see where both are coming from, and I'm going to go into why I think it's a bad idea in a second in more detail. In general, why it would be a good idea. Well, I mean, it's fairly obvious. You don't have to go out and buy a system. You would just license the games to play. So that maybe that means that when this PlayStation 4 does come out, instead of going to Best Buy and dropping, let's say, $600 on a system, you can just stay at home and stream it to your television. Whether it is a more cost-effective option or not remains to be seen, because we don't really know what they're going to be charging to stream it to your TV. So I mean that still remains to be seen. But I mean that's the main draw. You don't have to buy the system, but you can play the games. Which I mean I've been gaming for upwards of 24 years, 25 years. I mean that's really the ultimate goal, is you want to play these games without buying their systems. So, that's the one main draw. Now, some of the drawbacks to this are actually global in terms of this whole process, not just limited strictly to the PlayStation 4. And the first drawback is bandwidth. Plain and simple. For a minute before I delve into that, think back to some time you might have streamed a video from, let's say MLG. You were watching MLG, and you wanted to stream the League of Legends tournament. So you go in there, click the video, and you want that shit big, you want it beautiful. So you maximize it full screen, you hit that button for 1080p, and you gotta wait for it to buffer. And then it buffers. And then it looks great. And then maybe sometimes you hit a hiccup and it stops and buffers again and keeps going. That's well and good, because you're watching a video. It may be happening live, but it's not the end of the world if you hit a hiccup here and there. With a game, it's not quite so cut and dry, because it's the next generation, so it's going to have some really sick graphics. So you want it to look big and beautiful, so you are going to choose the full screen 1080p treatment for your game. If your League of Legends video had to buffer periodically throughout the video, what do you think is going to happen when you're streaming, a next generation game at that clarity? I have to assume it's not going to be completely seamless, especially for a lot of Americans who have, really on a global sense, middle-of-the-line internet connections. Most American internet borders from, maybe above okay to abysmal. It's terrible. And for the most part, it's just kind of in the middle. It's not bad, it's not good, but it is what it is. And most of the internet providers do offer you some type of upgraded service to get higher bandwidth. It usually ends up costing you quite a bit of money, but it is there. With the exception of some of the fiber optic services like Xfinity's higher tier plans, Verizon Fios, stuff like that, which does offer really nice, for American standards, connection speeds. But for everyone else, you might be looking at a bit of a hassle in terms of getting the games to stream to your computer successfully. And the other point is actually right along the same terms, and that's data caps. And that's something that all of my Canadian viewers will surely understand, and some of my American viewers as well, because some of the lower tier and basic plans for a lot of internet service providers in the U.S., such as Comcast and Xfinity, do have data caps, whereas all of Canada has data caps, and there's really no way around it. You're just damned if you do, damned if you don't up there. But the point remains, the amount of things you can download to your home through your ISP per month is capped. And we're in a day and age where we use the internet more than ever before. On your phones, your gaming systems, your PCs, your tablets, your e-readers, everything uses the internet. So it's always a constant drain on your bandwidth. And I know some of you are saying, well, you don't have to use Wi-Fi. Well, that's true. Then you can use 3G or 4G. The problem with that is that most of those plans are tiered and capped as well. So a lot of people do opt to use the Wi-Fi at home instead of their phone plan just to save some of that cap space. So that's biting into your cap space at home as versus your phone. But now gaming services are going cloud-based, and as I said before, with the bandwidth issues, the data cap's no different. You're streaming an extraordinarily large amount of data to your home. And as anyone who's run afoul of their data caps with Netflix knows, streaming video can kill you in terms of overages. It can get really bad, into the hundreds of thousands, Jesus Christ, just the hundreds of dollars in overage fees, because you don't really realize it, but you're pouring in so much data. So that's going to be an issue as well, is dealing with the data caps. Again, I want to emphasize that this is mainly a North American concern, and that's because I'm a North American, and that's mainly where my expertise lies. I know that for most of Western Europe, and just Europe in general, that's not really that big of an issue because the internet works a bit differently over there. It's quite a lot better. But for Americans and Canadians and Mexicans and South Americans, this is still a real issue for the industry as a whole if they decide to go this cloud-based direction. Keeping kind of along the same terms, not quite cloud-based, but with online-only gaming. Last year, EA posted $1 billion+ in digital revenue. Now, when I say digital revenue, that can be anywhere from an expansion pack, an item bundle, or a game, or anything in between. So pretty much anything that Electronic Arts distributed last year digitally, they profited from $1 billion+, which is tremendous. And if this year keeps trending the way that it does, they're looking at a minimum of $1.7 billion, quite possibly capping out above the $2 billion range with the inclusion of the holidays. So what does this mean? Well, this means that according to Electronic Arts, they expect to go completely digital in the near future. Now, when is the near future? That's up to them. It could be next year, it could be in 5 years. The point is that one of the major gaming companies in the industry is now thinking of going completely digital. It's not some small startup or side project that's releasing their games on Steam. Now, this is an entire, a company who once got sued for being a monopoly. That's really the best way to describe the scope of what they are in this industry. So, with a company that size willing to go completely digital, that's really giving you a portent of the future. This is where we're going. This is what's happening. This is what's currently happening. We're moving towards this all-digital age of gaming, and really for the same reasons that I quoted for the Gaikai merger, it's still a problem for a lot of America with the data caps and bandwidth speeds. And if they do decide to go completely digital before a lot of the internet technology catches up with this demand, they could be looking at some decent losses because they're not going to be able to move the amount of products that they did when they were still digital and physical. And the clear advantage does lie in Europe where they can afford to do this. And they also cited things like the growing online, they cited the growing online community with things like social media, mobile gaming, the huge explosion of free-to-play games, anywhere from Facebook to Steam, etc., as one of the main driving forces besides the digital revenue, as far as the decision to go all digital goes. Which I think is slightly a misstep of sorts because of all the reasons I just said. I'm not going to go into it again, but all the limitations also apply to how much your internet is being flooded, and things like social media, mobile gaming, free-to-play gaming, they all help to fill up this space, this imaginary space of the internet, of which for a lot of people it is limited. So, thinking that acts as a harbinger for a digital age is misguided because, they are getting more popular. They're also taking up more of the space that you need to give us the games for right now. I'm not saying this is going to last forever, but for right now, that is a very real issue, and it's not something that, again, I think they should use as the green light to go ahead necessarily. Supplementally, absolutely, but not as one of the main reasons why this might be an acceptable move for them. And keeping right along the same lines of how the internet and streaming will affect gaming, Microsoft has pretty much since 2 E3s ago has always expressed interest in turning the Xbox into whether partially or fully sometimes some kind of set-top box for a television service provider, whether it be cable or satellite. They've always expressed a certain amount of interest in turning the Xbox into something that's capable of handling that, whether as a gaming system without on the periphery or vice versa. That's always kind of been up in the air as to what they'd like to do. And as a lot of people who follow Microsoft and their plans for the Xbox 720 may know, they're really leaning towards making that a reality come the time the 720 launches. They really want to make that set-top box aspect part of what the game experience is in total. What does this mean for you as a gamer? Well, it means that, for one, you might be getting your gaming and your television from the same source, which can be good, it can be bad. It can be good if they decide to combine forces and offer integrated plans that can possibly save you quite a bit of money. It could be bad if they decide to not fully integrate their plans and you're paying for two things simultaneously when you might only necessarily want one. What does this mean hypothetically? Well, it means that what they can do is they can charge you a 2-year subscription fee for a cable service when you buy a brand new Xbox 720. What does that mean? Well, that means that system could only cost you $99. This is a ballpark figure, but it could cost you $99. Why? Because you're signing that commitment for the cable service. It's the same thing as when you buy a cell phone and you sign a new 2-year contract. Instead of paying the $580 it might be for your new Droid, you only pay $200 because you've committed to pay them $100 a month every month for the next 24 months. And it's really the same idea with the 720. If you commit to pay that money to their what could ostensibly be their partner in the cable company, they could lower the price of their system and still make a tidy profit. And people who have bought Xbox 360s in the recent past and taken advantage of the 2-year commitment to Xbox Live know what I'm talking about. It was pretty much the same thing. You bought a brand new Xbox 360 for $99 as long as you committed to a 2-year plan for Xbox Live. And how it'll work for television is pretty simple. It streams the TV data to your Xbox 720, and then pretty much it plans on using Windows 8 to split that signal into separate streams that you can distribute to different displays around your home at your choosing. Personally, that doesn't sound like a very clear advantage over just having your regular cable service and then having a box in every room. That does give you a higher level of freedom because you can change channels at will and whatnot. However, you have to have a separate box in each room, and some cable companies do charge you surcharges per month based on the amount of boxes you have. So, your mileage may vary in accordance to what type of, television contract you're rolling with. But it could alleviate those surcharges, on the buy box basis by just having your one box, and you get to transmit what you want to each television in your house, assuming that either A, those televisions are internet ready, or B, you have some sort of accessory for the 720, again acting like almost like a Roku of sorts, so it can get that signal to your television. But again, you're still using the internet to stream this data to your television. So all the limitations that I've already harped on a million times so far come back into play. This is a new age way of thinking, but the problem is that we're still in the current age of internet technology here. And I mean, quite frankly, the 720 could be coming out as soon as, the end of next year, from what I've been reading. And I don't think internet technology is going to get that much further than it is in North America now till then. So, you're going to be left with the same problems of, I don't have enough space. I can't stream it fast enough. The quality sucks. Yada, yada, yada. It's the same deal. So, I mean, I really do think that it would behoove companies right now to maybe slow down this all-digital aspect, because it's working fine as it is. You keep the stuff that you can keep solely digital, such as expansion packs and, money sinks for games like Dota and League of Legends. And then, you give the option of either digitizing or having physical copies of games and systems, at least for right now, because there's too much. The margin of error for going completely digital too fast is enormous. It could really destroy an industry by going completely digital too quickly. And as an example, I will use the music industry. I bet a lot of you guys don't buy CDs anymore. Most of your music is obtained digitally, whether it's through like iTunes, Spotify, pirating, like whatever it may be. Most of your music arrives in a digital format, and that was really brought on by the advent of the iPod. The only difference is that A, there weren't data caps back then, and B, it didn't really matter how bad your bandwidth was because you were downloading the songs, you weren't streaming them. And streaming songs has only really become big within the past 3 or 4 years when we've been able to handle it. But using those as examples, I want you guys to just maybe imagine what would happen if they had dialed those options in maybe 2 years prior to when they did. You'd have streaming music without the capability to stream music efficiently, and you would have MP3 players, that didn't have the ability to put songs on them because you couldn't. And the same thing could happen to the video game industry if they take this digitization too quickly. You could run the same problems. Either you can't put it on there, or you won't because it's not up to the quality you want it to be. And it's something to keep in mind as we push forward, because progress isn't always a good thing. It's not always what you want. It's not always what you need. And sometimes you just need to hold off and wait for us to catch up to you guys. And I think the final thing I'm going to talk about today is, as a New Yorker, I have to plug this. It's called Dancetopia 2012, and it's the inaugural version of what they want to be an annual event, and it's hosted by something called Gamer Fit Nation, which is a group that promotes healthy living and exercise through video games. So as you can imagine, it focuses heavily on the Move, the Kinect, and the Wii. And it's being held this year in Harlem, which is why, as a New Yorker, I got to talk to you guys about it. And pretty much, what it's going to feature is 360 Kinect stations hooked up on multiple TVs, so that you can play the latest dance games, such as Dance Central, Just Dance. I believe they're going to play Zumba. So for all you Zumba freaks out there, that's going to be as well. It's going to be featured as well. And I believe they're also going to be doing free giveaways for any attendees who do come to enjoy the festivities. It's going to be the 21st of July this year from 1 to 4 p.m. And it's going to be held at the 21st Century Academy for Community Leadership. And that's 501 to 503 West 152nd Street, New York, 10031. And if you want to get some more information on the program or the event, you can check them out at facebook.com/GamerFitNation, or you can check them out on Twitter using the hashtags Dancetopia. So for any of you guys in the New York metropolitan area who want to check it out, feel free. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's hoping to be an annual thing, so I'm hoping they can do it again next year. And you know what? So that about wraps it up for this Monday's worth of news. Like I said, I'm going to try to do this every Monday. I want to have them posted by anywhere from 5 to 6 o'clock, so you guys can check back on a regular basis. You know what? Let's just say 6 o'clock, so anyone who's working 9 to 5 can check it out at 6 o'clock when they get home from work. And they'll be posted up on our YouTube channel, so you can go check them out at youtube.com/twoperfectgents, of which I am one half, The Promise. And I hopefully see you guys next Monday. Take care.